Good night, everybody. Just trying to figure out how to record. Good night, everyone. Before we get started, my name is Rakitra An-to-nee-uh Prosper. I study in math education. I passed numerous math courses, including Math 140 with an A, and I've been a tutor for the university for the past 3 years. I'm passionate about numeracy advancement, so I hosted this meeting and prepared a few questions that would likely similar to the ones that will be on your final exam. And just like the YouTube video I uploaded, I'm going to be completing them, explaining the questions to the best of my ability to help you feel more prepared for your final exam. I only have 45 minutes as this is a free Zoom meeting. So any questions I can answer if we have time at the end. I do tune university during work study period, but work study has ended. So if you'd like to book some sessions, I'll put my number in the comments and y'all can see if y'all want. The questions I prepared are comprehensive, so they cover a wide range of topics. I would encourage you to watch the 3 videos I posted on my YouTube channel regarding test 1, 2, and the final exam. I tried to figure out a way to stop the mics from turning on, but I hear a mic on, so if you have your mic on, can you turn it off, please? So I would encourage y'all to watch the 3 videos I posted on my channel regarding test 1, 2, and the final exam for further review if y'all haven't. And with no other delay, let me just post these in the comments and then we could get started. So I put in the YouTube link and then my number in the chat. Okay, so let's get started. And I have the meeting recorded because probably would upload this on YouTube again for those who are able to attend. Y'all should be able to see my screen. Okay, so first question we have, simplify 18x squared y divided by negative 6xy squared. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide the two numbers. So negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 6 is negative 3, right? And now we're dealing with the law of exponents. Law of exponents is the quotient rule. When we have x squared over x, the exponent on top of this one is 1. So we just subtract the two exponents. So this would just be x squared minus 1. So we just have x by itself, right? And since that's positive, we put it in the numerator. Same thing with y. The exponent for the y in the numerator here is 1. So we have y to the power of 1 minus 2 because the y in the denominator is 2. So we would have y to the power of negative 1. Since it's a negative 1 here, another rule of the law of exponent, the negative exponent rule. Because this is negative, this would be going in the denominator. So we just have x over y to the power of 1. So that will be our answer, and that is A. B. Which equation has a solution of all real numbers? So we have that when the question say, when the answer simplifies to 0 is equal to 0. So when we solve it, for example, let's solve the first. This 3x minus 5, and we distribute the 3. 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times negative 5 is 15, right? And we have to solve for x. So we're going to transpose and send the 3x. That be 3x minus 3x is equal to, we want to send the 5 over. So when we send the 5 over, it'll be positive. So that'd be positive 5 minus 15. We sent this over, it became a negative, and then we sent the 5 over, it became. So we have 0 is equal to 15, that's negative 10. This wouldn't be our answer. When you have something like this has no solution. 0 is equal to 0. So let's first we're going to distribute the 5. That's 5x. And then the 5 times 2, that's 10. So 5x plus 10. 5 times x is 5x. And then 5 times 2 is 10. Equal, we're just going to bring it down. Now we're going to transpose again and bring the 5x over. We're going to bring this over. When we bring it over, it becomes a negative. So that'd be 5x minus 5x equal, we want to bring this 10 over. So that'd be 10. That'd be negative 10, because when we bring it over, it was a positive over here. So when we bring it over, it become a negative, right? And then the plus 10 that's here, we could just bring that down. So negative 10 plus 10. 5x minus 5x is 0. Negative 10 plus 10 is 0. So this is what we're looking for. This is the solution of all real numbers. Factor completely. Now on your final exam, there'll be a lot of factoring. So if you don't feel really strong in factoring, you have to review that over because on your final exam, it has a lot of factoring. So we want to find the factors that's common in both terms. The number, we can start off with the number. The number that I see is common in both terms is 3 because 12 could divide by 3 and 27 could divide by 3. So when we divide 12 by 3, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So you can factor out our 3, right? And then x common in both too. So we can factor out 3x. We're only going to factor out 3x because the exponent here is 1. So you're going to factor out the lowest, the term with the lowest exponent. So the variable with the lowest exponent. So you're going to factor out 3x. And when we're left over, 12x squared divided by 3x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Remember, x squared divided by x, that's on the law of exponent, the quotient rule. That's x to the power 2 minus 1. That's just x by itself. So in the bracket, we have 4x for the first term, right? And then when we have 27x divided by 3x, 27 divided by 3, that's 9. X divided by x. So we just left with the 9, right? So our answer would be, open bracket, our answer would be 3x, open bracket, 4x minus 9, because the negative was there. So that's why you put the negative back. So that would be A. And sorry if I'm moving fast. We have a lot to, so I gotta move a little quickly. Okay, with this, you more than likely will have at least one question, if not none, one question regarding this. So you have to know how to do this. This a radical question. The index on a radical is 2. Since it's not there, the index that would be there is 2, right? So 75 isn't a perfect square, but 75 has a factor that is a perfect square. So what we want to do is break it up. So we know that 25 times 3 is 75, because if you have 3/4, how much you have? 75 cents. So 25 times 3, and we're going to put the a squared back and b, right? 25 is a perfect square, so we could just take that out of the square root symbol. The square root of 25 is just 5. So we could take that out, 5. And like I say, the index on this is 2, right? So when it comes to the variables, how I look at it is that you just basically dividing it by the index. So since we have a squared underneath the radical symbol and the index is 2, you could just divide it. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so you could just put a on the outside. A to the power 1 on the outside, if you see what I'm saying. Like, let's say you had another example, right? And it was like cube root of a cube. You're just dividing the 3 by 3, and the cube root of a cube would just be 8. So you're just dividing it by the index, right? And then left on the inside of this question, of this radical, would just be 3b, because 3 isn't, we can't take 3 out of the square root, and then we can't take b out of the square root, because the index is 2. B, the exponent on this is only 1, so we can't take it out. It have to stay there. So our answer to this would be A. So what is the slope of the line? What is the slope of the line? 4x minus 2y equals 12. So we want to put this in slope-intercept form. So we want to solve for y for this question. So to do that, we're going to transpose first and send the 4x over. So we'd have 2y, negative 2y equals, when we send this 4x over, it's going to become a negative 4x plus 12, right? Now we want to divide both sides by 2. Negative 2 to get rid of this negative 2 over here because we want to solve for y. So when we divide both sides by negative 2, that's y equals 4, negative 4 over negative 2x plus 2 over negative 2. And when we simplify that, that's negative 4 divided by negative 2, that's just positive 2x. And then plus minus 1 is a negative. So 2 divided by negative 2 is minus 1. Right? Now, our slope, remember the equation is y equals mx plus b. B is our y-intercept, and then m is the slope. So the slope for this would be 2. So that's b. So solve 7x plus 8 equal 3x minus 12. So again, transpose, you want to send all the x. I like to send them over to the left, but if you want to send them over to the right, it's whatever you choose. So I just put 7x minus 3x. Because I sent this over, it became a negative equal. I'm going to send the 8 over. It's going to become a negative. Since it's already a positive, when I send it over, it's going to become a negative 8. And then just the minus 12. Right? So I'm going to simplify it. 7x minus 3x is just 4x. Negative 8 minus 12 is just negative 20. We divide both sides by 4. So negative 20 divided by 4 is just negative 5. So our answer is A. Rationalize the denominator. So to do that, we have to figure out the conjugate of the denominator. The conjugate is just like this, almost the same thing, but just opposite sign. So the conjugate of this would be 2 plus root 3. So it's the same thing, but just opposite signs. So we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 plus root 3. So you can multiply the numerator first. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 5 times root 3 is 5 root 3. Now, we have 2 times 2. First, we're going to multiply 2 times 2, this FOIL. So if you have like 2 minus root 3, and then 2 plus root 3, you remember the FOIL method, first order and the last. So you're multiplying 2 by 2 first. 2 times 2 is 4. Now we're going to multiply 2 by root 3, so that'd be plus 2 root 3. Now we're going to multiply negative root 3 times 2. That's minus 2 root 3. And then we're going to multiply negative root 3 times positive root 3. That would just give you negative root 3. Not negative root 3, negative 3. So we could simplify it. These cancel out. And we just left with in the denominator 4 minus 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. So we have 10 plus 5 root 3 over 1. So our final answer is just 10 plus 5 root 3. And that is A. Solve the inequality. Now, you may have a question like this, and then it might tell you to graph it after. So I didn't put graphing in it, but I can show you how you would graph this answer. So first thing you want to do is transpose. So you want to send the 2 over. So when you send the 2 over, it'd be negative. So now we have negative 3x greater than 11 minus 2. Because when you send the 2 over, it's going to become negative, right? So we have, now we're going to simplify it. And like I say, for those who joined, sorry if I go in fast, we just have a lot to cover. 11 minus 2 is 9, so negative 3x greater than 9. So going to divide both sides by negative 3. Now, when you do a question like this and you divide it by a negative number, the sign flips. So since we divided by negative 3, the sign would flip, and it would go x is less than negative 3, right? So now, if you wanted to graph this, you'd have 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If you wanted to graph this, you would start at negative 3. It's saying x is less than. So it's saying all the values where it's less than negative 3. So it would go this way. Open circle. You have to pay attention to the inequality symbol they're using. When it's less than or greater than, you use an open circle. When it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you use a closed circle. Okay, so since it's less than, you use an open circle and just label it x. So it's saying x is less than negative 3, and these are the values where x is less than negative 3. So find the LCM of x minus 3, x squared minus 9. So this question here this is a difference of two squares. So if you don't remember the formula, that's a squared minus b squared. That's equal to a minus b, a plus b. So this question you see here, that's x squared minus 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. So that would be equal to x minus 3, x plus 3, right? So our LCM, if you want to find our LCM, just take in all the stuff, but don't take repeated things. So this one here has x minus 3. So we're going to take the x minus 3 from that, right? This term here has x minus 3 again, but we already have the x minus 3. So we're not going to write that. We're going to write x plus 3. So the LCM would be x minus 3, x plus 3. Okay, and that is B. So simplify, remember in the numerator, we discussed difference of two squares. So you're going to see a question like this, whether you add in two fractions, divide in two fractions, or multiply in two fractions, you're going to see a question like this, and you're going to have to know how to factorize it. So if we factorize the numerator, like we say that's x minus 3, x plus 3. But if you want to factorize the denominator, right, x squared, this is a quadratic equation, plus 6x plus 9. So factors of 9 that add up to 6. So we're going to take 9 and list the factor pairs. So 9 and 1, 3 and 3. 3 plus 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. So we're going to use that. So what we have is x plus 3, x plus 3. If you see, that's the same thing. So we could just say x plus 3 squared. Or you could just leave it as the x plus 3, x plus 3, because you're going to have to factor out some stuff. So I haven't put it as x plus 3 squared. So we factored the denominator. That's the factored version of it. So we're just going to write it again underneath here. So that's x plus 3, x plus 3. So now what we want to do is cancel out what's common in the numerator and the denominator. They have x plus 3 common. So our final answer would be x minus 3 over x plus 3. And that would be 8. Okay, so true or false? 9x squared minus 25 factors as 3x minus 5, 3x plus 5. Again, this is the difference of two squares. So from I see this, 9 is a perfect square. So this 3x all squared. And then 25 is a perfect square. The square root of 25 is 5, so that's 5 squared. Remember, the difference of two squared is a minus b, a plus b. So this would be 3x minus 5, 3x plus 5. So that does factor as that, so this is true. 2, the slope of any vertical line is 0. This is false. Vertical line goes down like that. The slope of a vertical line is undefined, so that is false. The slope of a horizontal line is 0, so don't get confused. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. It's not 0, so that's false. Radicals, root 12 and root 27 are like radicals. Remember, these are imperfect squares in these roots. To actually know if they're like radicals, you have to simplify them, right? So to simplify them, I want to break them up so I could see what perfect squares are factors of these numbers. So for root 12, we could break that up and say that's 3 times 4. And then root 27, we could break that up and say that's 9 times 3. 4 is a perfect square. We could take that out, and that would give me 2 root 3. 9 is a perfect square. I could take that out, and that would give me 3 root 3, because the square root of 9 is 3. So 3 root 3. Because they both have the root 3's with them, they are like radicals. So this is true. This is false. This is a difference of 2 squares, right? This x squared plus 4 squared. That's not the same thing as this. They will give you 2 totally different answers. So this is false. A system with parallel lines has infinitely many solutions. That is false. A system with parallel lines has no solutions. No solution. When the lines coincide, it has infinitely many solutions, but a system with parallel lines has no solution. So free response. I would encourage you, please don't leave this blank. Answer as best as you can, because can't really give you pity points if you don't put nothing there. So what I'm going to do is 4x minus 7 equals, I'm going to distribute the 3. 3 times 2x is 6x. And then 3 times 1 is 3, so 6x plus 3. Now I'm going to send this 4 over and send this 3 over here. So that's 6x minus 4x. But let me rewrite it. See, I can show you what I'm doing. So I send the 3 over here. That'll be a negative 3. Negative 3 minus 7 equals 6x, right? And I'm going to send the 4 over. That'll be minus 4x. Minus 3 minus 7, that's negative 10. And then 6x minus 4x is 2x. So I can just rewrite it now and say 2x is equal to negative 10. I could just divide both sides by 2. And when I divide negative 10 by 2, that's negative 5. So x is equal to negative 5. Okay, so I want to distribute this 5 here. That's 5t. And then 5 times negative 3. That's minus 15. Distribute this negative 2. Multiply negative 2 times t. That's minus 2t. And then minus 2 times 4 is negative 8. Equals 18, right? I want to keep all the t's on this side and send all the constants on the next side. So let me just put them together. So that's 5t minus 2t minus 15 minus 8 equals 18. 5t minus 2t, that's 3t. And then minus 15 minus 8, 15 negative minus 8. That's minus 23 equals 18. So I'm gonna send the 23 over. So that's 3t equals 18 plus 23. So 18 plus 23, that's 41. So that's 3t is equal to 41. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So t is equal to 41 divided by 3. Right? So factor completely. When I look at this question, I see that all these terms have a factor that's common. They all have x in common. So I'm gonna factor out x from all these terms. When I do that, I'm left with x squared minus 4x minus 21, right? Now, Remember quadratic equation? We want to find factors of 21 that multiply to get negative 21, but also they add to get negative 4. So I'm just going to list the factors of 21. I know 21 times 1 is 21, and then 7 times 3 is 21. So now, remember, they have to multiply to get negative 21, but also have to add to get negative 4. You can't just make any of these negative or any of these positive. You have to be intentional about which one you make negative. I see that middle value is a negative 4. So I want these two values to add to give me negative 4. To do that, I have to make the 7 negative and the 3 positive. Because if I make the 7 positive and the 3 negative, that's positive 4. I don't want a positive 4, I want a negative 4. See, negative 7 plus 3 will give me the negative 4. And then negative 7 times 3 will give me the negative 21. So all you have to do now is just write x minus 7, x plus 3. Okay, now, first thing, this is a quadratic equation again, but now you're approaching this one differently. You're going to multiply 9 times 4. 9 times 4, 9, 8, 9, 18, 27, 36. That would give you 36, right? So I want to find factors of 36 that add up to 12. So let's list the factors of 36. So you have 36 and 1, 18 and 2, 12 and 3, 9 and 4, and 6 and 6. I see 6 and 6. Minus 6 is negative 12. So I could just rewrite this now as 9y squared minus 6y plus 4. Now I'm going to break it up and factor it individually. I see that 3y is common in both these two. So I'm going to factor 3y. I left with 3y minus 2. I see negative 2 common in this group over here. And I'm factoring this group. I'm going to factor that out. And I'm left with 3y minus 2 again. So I see that this is 3y minus 2. 3y minus 2. And that's our final answer. This testing, again, your law of exponents. Start off with the numbers. 6 divided by 3 is just 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, sorry. Law of exponents, that's x to the power negative 1 divided by x squared. That's equal to x to the power negative 1 minus 2. That equals x to the power negative 3. Because it's negative, this goes in the denominator. So divided by, we put in the denominator, we put in x cubed. When we put in the denominator, it turns positive, okay? It would only be negative if you used to put it in the numerator. But since they don't want you to finish with no negative exponents, so since it's a negative exponent, we solved it. It's negative. You put it in the denominator. Now we're gonna do y. Y cubed divided by y to the power negative 2. That's equal to y cubed minus negative 2. You can't just put y. You can't just put 3 minus 2. That's not a correct answer. You have to review the quotient rule when you're looking over law of exponents. Since it's negative 2 here, you put 3 minus negative 2. That would be y to the power 3 plus 2, because a negative times negative is a positive. So now you have y to the power of 5. So our final answer is 2y to the power of 5 divided by x cubed. Okay, so it's telling me there's only in 10 minutes, so I will try to finish this up. So for this, what we want to do, we want the denominators to be the same. But if I look at it, they almost the same. So what I'd have to do is factor out a negative 1 from this. Because when I factor out negative 1 from that, we have 4 minus x, right? If I factor out negative 1 from that, I'm basically dividing the thing by negative 1. So when I divide it by negative 1, 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. And then negative x divided by negative 1 is positive x. So now they have the same thing. I could move this negative. Let me rewrite it, right? Now I could just rewrite this because since it's negative here, I could put this -1 right here and make this thing, whole entire thing negative. So that's 3 over x minus 4 minus 1 over, same thing right here, x minus 4. It's the same thing, I just rewrite it. Positive x minus 1 minus 4, right? So I could write the entire thing over 1. So we have 3 minus 1 over x minus 4. Since the denominators are the same. 3 minus 1 is 2, so that's 2 over x minus 4, right? Let me see. Okay, since I need to finish this off, I have another Zoom meeting that I could post up. So if you want to stay for me to finish this off, let me put the link in the comments so y'all could copy it if y'all want to. So I have to find it because I wasn't expecting it to end. I thought it was 40. Okay, so when I put the next link in the comments. So when this Zoom meeting ends, if you want to stay for me to finish this off, you could just take a picture or copy the Zoom link from that and join it when this meeting ends, so we'd be able to finish this off because I wasn't expecting it to end this quickly. So I posted the next link in the comments. When this ends, you could just join this so I could finish this off. So again, this with the this with the variables. The index is 2, right? So this ain't exactly perfect squares, right? So we have to find perfect squares in it, break it up so we could see what perfect squares are in it so we could simplify it, right? So first thing I'm going to do is for 98, I'm going to divide 98 times 2 because I can't really see what perfect square in it. So I'm just going to divide 98 by 2 since it's a positive number. So happens 49. When I see questions like this and I don't know how to find the perfect square, I just start dividing until I see what perfect squares are in it. So 49 times 2. 49 is a perfect square, right? And then this 8 is 4 times 2. 49 times 2 is 98. That's a perfect square. 49 times 2 is 98, and then 49 is a perfect square. 4 times 2 is 8, and then 4 is a perfect square. So we could just take the perfect squares out. The square root of 49 is just 7, so this is 7 root 2. The square root of 4 is just 2, so that's 2 root 2. So 7 minus 2, that's 5 root 2. So our final answer would just be 5 root 2. Make sure I put your equal sign, right? So now for this, you're gonna be doing FOIL. You need to know how to do FOIL first or in a last. So what I like to do is I just like to write it out, especially when I just put the square, because that helps me to see it better. And then minus x minus 4, x plus 4. Again, the meeting is gonna end in like 8 minutes, 4 minutes. I put a next link in the comments. I'm not sure if anybody rejoined. If you don't see it, I'm posting it again. When the meeting ends, if you want me to finish this off, you could just join that meeting I posted. 2x times 2x, that's 4x squared. 2x times 3, that's 6x, so 4x squared plus 6x. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 3 is 9. Over here, minus, well, I'm going to put a minus and then I'm going to put an open bracket because we have to multiply this out, and this whole entire thing is being subtracted from this. So I'm going to put a minus and then put a bracket there. X times x is x squared. And then x times 4 is 4x. Minus 4 times x is minus 4x. And then negative 4 times positive 4, that's negative 16. So let me simplify this. It's 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 minus x squared. These cancel out. Minus 16. So now rewrite it, and I'm going to distribute the multiplication symbol. So minus x, that'd be minus x squared. Distribute it here, it'd be a negative. And I'm going to distribute this negative to the 16. That'll make it a positive 16, right? So now let me rewrite it, lining up the like terms. So that's 4x squared minus x squared plus 12x plus 9 plus 16. 4x squared minus x squared is 3x squared plus 12x plus 9 plus 16 is 25. So our final answer is 3x squared plus 12x plus 25. Okay, so the meeting can end in like 2 minutes. So I'm gonna stop here. Join the next meeting if you've waited until the end, and then when the meeting ends, I can join the next. I can start it and finish it off. Okay, so because I wasn't recording the first time when I originally did it, I have to record it again and do it again. So we stopped here. So the simultaneous equations, you could solve this using addition or substitution. Since it's already positive and negative, we could just add it and cancel it out. So 2x plus x is just 3x. The y's we cancel out. 3x equal to 5 minus 4 is just 1. So 3x is equal to 1. So now I want to divide both sides by 3. When I do that, I have x is equal to 1 over 3. Now you're not finished because you have to find y, right? So to find y, we're going to take one of these questions and just solve for y. So x minus y equals negative 4. We're going to solve for y. Send the x over. When you send it over, it'd be negative. So we have y, negative y is equal to negative x minus 4. So divide both sides by negative 1. So we have negative y over negative 1, negative x over negative 1, and then minus 4 over negative 1. Just make sure I'm recording. Yes, I'm recording. Okay. This would be y is equal to x over negative 1 plus 4. 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. That's supposed to be a negative 1 there. So now y is equal to x plus 4. So y is equal to 1 over 3 plus 4. So if you want to add 1 over 3 plus 4, right? Remember the denominator is just 1, right? So now we want to add it. We have to change these two. So you have to multiply both the denominator and the numerator by 3. So this would be 1 over 3 plus 12 over 3. Remember, add numerators, keep the same denominator. So that's 13 over 3. So y is equal to 13 over 3. So our answer is 1 over 3, 13 over 3. Next question. Word problem. You're gonna have a word problem on this, right? So, Rob's school is having a concert. Adult tickets cost $25 and student tickets cost $15. Ticket sales for the night totaled 1,620. Adult concert goers received 2 complimentary t-shirts, while student concert goers each received 1 complimentary t-shirt. The total number of complimentary t-shirts given out that night was 115. Let A be the number of adult tickets sold and S the number of student tickets sold. Write a system of linear equations that can be used to determine A. Do not solve it. Now, simultaneous equations. They could tell you to write the equations and then solve it, or they could give you this exact same question. Not exact, but they give you a question like this and say do not solve it. They just want to know that you know how to write the question. So, what I like to say is put money with the money, right? So, adult tickets cost $25. They want A be the number of adult tickets sold, right? So how much ever adult tickets were sold, we know that 25 was for each ticket. So we could just write 25A because how much ever adults came, each of them paid $25, right? So 25A plus the student tickets cost $15, right? So same thing with students. How much ever students came, they paid $15. So $15 for every student. So 15S. So your 25A plus 15S, and we're gonna set that equal to put the money with the money. So 1,620. So how much ever adults came multiplied by 25 because they paid 25 plus how much ever students came multiplied by 15 because each student paid 15. That's equal to 1,620. That's how much ticket sales were for the night. Now, t-shirts. Put the t-shirts with the t-shirts. Each adult received 2 complimentary t-shirts. So we're gonna just put 2A because how much ever adults came, they got 2 t-shirts, right? And students got 1. So we just put 1S, but 1 times S is just S, so we can just put S. Is equal to how much tickets was given, how much t-shirts was given at the night? 115, so equal to 115. They said not to solve it, so you wouldn't solve it. But if you was to solve it, you could use substitution, substitute it into solve for S and substitute it into this. Or you could use addition, but the easier way would be substitution. Right? So now, next question. Find 2 consecutive even integers whose sum is 46. Now, with consecutive numbers, they could ask you to say, they could say, find 2 consecutive even integers, find 2 consecutive odd integers, find 2 consecutive integers. Whichever it is, you have to know how to approach each one. Consecutive mean one after the next. So which even numbers that are one after the next could sum up to give you 46? So I'm gonna let the first integer be x, right? The first even integer be x. And then the next one, I'm gonna let be x plus 2, right? Because let's use, for example, we have 2, right? And then 2 plus 2 is 4. So you see, these are consecutive because after 2 is 3, and then 4. 3 is an odd number. So consecutive even integers mean one after the next, right? So that's just an example I was using, right? So they told me to find 2 consecutive and even integers whose sum is 46. So I'm going to take both these integers and I'm going to add them, right? So x plus 2, and I'm going to put this in brackets because I'm adding x to x plus 2 is equal to 46. Because it's saying 2 consecutive even integers whose sum is 46. So this telling me that these 2 numbers, when I add them together, they give me 46. So I'm going to set them equal to 46 and I'm going to solve. This is x plus x plus 2 equals 46. This is 2x plus 2 is equal to 46. This is 2x is equal to 46 minus 2. This is 2x is equal to 44. Divide both sides by 2. 44 divided by 2 is 22. Now, common mistake, you're not finished. We found the first consecutive integer. Even integer, but we'll put the next one, right? So we're gonna add 2 to 22 because it's a x is 22. Now we need to find x plus 2. What is x plus 2? 22 plus 2 is 24. So there's 2 consecutive even integers are 22 and 24 because 22 plus 24 is equal to 46. Okay, so these are the 2 consecutive even integers, right? So last question, there are a few things that you need to pay attention to when it comes to graphing. You will have a question like this on your final exam. Pay attention to the inequality symbol. Pay attention to what you are shading because they could ask you to shade the unwanted region or the wanted region. So pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing. When you have a less than or greater than symbol, the line is dotted. When you have a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to sign, the line is solid. Okay, so yeah. First question, we're gonna just graph it as y is equal to 1. So where's our y equal to 1, right? Right here. So just gonna graph that, right? Dashes, and just gonna plot it y is less than 1. Plot the original solution, plot it. Right? Now we want to see the values where y is less than 1. Y is less than 1 over here, you see? Because this is our y-axis, right? These are the positive values going up, and these are the negative values going down. So y is less than 1 over here, right? And also it's dotted because of the solution, so I left it solid, but common mistake, you're supposed to be dotted. So since it's less than, it's supposed to be dotted, not solid, right? So the values where y is less than 1 are over here. These are the wanted values because this is where y is less than 1. So we're not going to shade this. We're going to shade this because this is the unwanted region. So we're going to shade the unwanted region. Unwanted region, okay? Good, right? So now this is already in slope-intercept form, so we could just plot it. The y-intercept is 2, so we're just going to put 2. The slope is -3, but remember, the denominator of a whole number is just 1, so -3 over 1. So remember, this is rise over run. The slope is rise over run. So since it's negative, we're going to go down 3. But if it was positive, we were going to go up 3. So since it's negative, we're going to go down 3 and over 1. 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. So we're going to put it there, right? And this is a greater than or equal to symbol, so we could do the line solid. Try to have a ruler, so you could do it with a ruler. And we're just going to plot the original question. Write it, the original question. So y is greater than or equal to -3x plus 2. Now, to see which side we shading, we're going to choose a test point that is not directly on the line. We're going to let me drink some water. So we're going to choose a test point that is not directly on the line. 0, 0 isn't directly on the line. 0, 0 right here. So we can just substitute those values into the equation. When we do that, we have 0 is greater than or equal to -3, 0 plus 2. If we simplify that, that's just 0 is greater than or equal to 2. That's false. That's not true. So we're going to shade the side with 0, 0 because that's not a true statement. So because this isn't a true statement, this telling me that all the values over here isn't a true statement. So this is the unwanted region. Right? Okay, so yeah. Since it's greater than or equal to, the line's solid. Remember, if it was less than or greater than, it would have been a dotted line. Last question, we have to solve for y to put this in slope-intercept form. So send the x over. So this would be 3y less than 5x, because when we send the 5x over, it would be a positive because it was a negative over here. When we send it over here, it would be a positive. -6. So now we have going to divide both sides by 3. So that would be y is less than 5 over 3x. 6 divided by 3 is 2, -2. So our y-intercept is -2, so we're going to plot -2. Going to go up 5 and over 3. Remember, rise over run. So rise 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and run 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let me do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Dotted line. So dotted line. Our lines are important whether it's dotted or not. Okay. Gonna label it -5x plus 3y less than -6, right? So choose test point again. 0, 0 is not in line, so I just use 0, 0. When I substitute it in, let's just say 0 is less than negative 6. That's not correct. So I'm going to shape the side again with 0, 0 on it because 0 is not less than negative 6. This is the side with 0, 0, so I'm going to shade it because I'm shading the unwanted region. That's what they told me to shade. Pay attention to whether you're shading the wanted or the unwanted region. Okay, so this would be our final answer. Yeah. So last question. All the best on your exam. Remember, sleep, eat well. Please practice if you know you haven't practiced. A lot of factorization would be on your exam. Review. Watch the YouTube videos. I posted my YouTube all over. If you still don't see it, just search up my name and UB Survival. You're probably gonna find it somewhere. The test one, test two, and then the final exam video. So you get a overall understanding of what you're gonna be expecting. If you need to use ChatGPT to ask you the questions and to break it down, use it. YouTube, Google, use whatever. Read your notes, please. Book some tutoring sessions. Do what you gotta do to make sure you pass the exam. We don't want to retake that because Math 140 is very expensive. All the best.